Trophy hunting. This was the idea that Kaulig Racing was built upon when they first entered the Cup Series a few short years ago. An exciting young team that had nothing to lose. But in an incredibly short amount of time, this exciting race team is now struggling to crack the top 30 in points. So what's going on? Kaulig was a team that exploded in popularity several years ago in the Xfinity Series. Coming out of seemingly nowhere, the team had nearly instantaneous speed and a roster of popular and well-liked drivers that included Ross Chastain, AJ Allmendinger, and Justin Haley, just to name a few. The hype behind this race team only continued to build throughout the 2021 season, as AJ Allmendinger took home a massive W at the Indy Road Course and the team was still only running a part-time schedule. And in the Xfinity Series, Kaulig continued to impress just as they had in years past, with Allmendinger scoring a series-high 5 victories and made an appearance in the Final Four, while Justin Haley finished a respectable 6th in points. With the team starting to look like an absolute powerhouse, this was the time to make their highly anticipated first full Cup Series season. And they did just that in 2022, purchasing 2 charters to run the 16 and 31 cars full-time. But right off the bat, the team made a rather perplexing decision. It would be Justin Haley who ran the 31 car full-time, while AJ Allmendinger would only get to run the 16 car part-time. And with the 2022 schedule being littered with road courses, the obvious choice should have been to let Allmendinger drive the full season, try to get a win, and contend for a championship. With Justin Haley, you're gambling on a super speedway win, which, hey, it's happened before. But more odd than that were the 2 drivers that Allmendinger had to share the 16 car with, Noah Gragson and Daniel Hemrick, 2 guys who struggled to finish races most of the time. It was like they wanted to shovel money towards broken race cars. At the end of the day, the 16 car finished a disappointing 26th in the others' points. Justin Haley, meanwhile, who had much lower expectations, finished a decent 22nd in points and posted an impressive 3 top 5 finishes. Not bad for someone's first season in competitive equipment. It was clear that work needed to be done, but the team overall had a successful first season. So 2023 was an improvement, right? No. With AJ Allmendinger finally allowed to run full-time in 2023, many believe that he could potentially make a deep playoff run. If he won at a road course, survived the round of 16, and then won at the Roval, the round of 8 was a realistic expectation for him, especially after how dominant he had been in Xfinity over the past 2 seasons. But reality was much more disappointing. While AJ did pick up the win at the Roval in convincing fashion, he had failed to win at any of the other road courses that season. In all honesty, he didn't even get close, as mechanical woes held him back more often than not. Watkins Glen was pretty much the only clean road course race he had in the regular season, but it wasn't quite enough with how horribly hard to pass it was in that race. And when AJ finally scored the win at the Roval, he was clearly emotional, knowing something that the fan base likely didn't. He believed at this moment that this would likely be his last Cup Series victory, casting doubt on his future. In interviews with the media afterward, he just kept saying that he would do whatever was best for the team in regard to 2024. Clearly, if Kaulig didn't want him back in the seat full-time, something serious must be afoot. Meanwhile, Justin Haley struggled in 2023, regressing to 25th in points. And just before the playoffs started, he shocked the world by announcing that he would be leaving to go to Rick Ware Racing the next year. A move that at the time, most of us believed was career suicide. Why would you leave a growing team to go to a backmarker team unless you knew that team wasn't growing anymore? Haley must have known that trouble was brewing in the Kaulig stable and jumped ship while his resume still looked good. And in retrospect, this looks like a 5,000 IQ play, as he performed so well at Rick Ware equipment that Hendrick Motorsports threw money at Spire to pick him up. I'm not saying that Justin Haley is a future as a Hendrick driver, but Spire is a growing team right now. They're kinda like the Kaulig of years past. But anyway, with the flip of a switch, it seemed like Kaulig had lost their most loyal driver and demoted their one with the best chance of winning as Allmendinger returned to full-time Xfinity racing in 2024 and split the 16 car with 4 other drivers in the Cup Series. The offseason wasn't much kinder to Kaulig, as apparently a deal fell apart to put Matt DiBenedetto in the 31 car due to a sponsor bailing at the last second, a driver who likely could have put together a playoff run. And instead, they ended up having to promote Daniel Hemrick to the Cup Series, a driver who is much less likely to put together a playoff run. In the Xfinity Series, young prospect Chandler Smith also spontaneously announced the end of his Kaulig tenure after being incredibly high on the team heading into 2023. He would end up reuniting with Toyota at Joe Gibbs. And suddenly, it became very clear what the situation at Kaulig was when they replaced Chandler Smith with Josh Williams? Yes, the man who stole the heart of NASCAR Nation in Atlanta when he parked his car on the start-finish line due to their officiating shenanigans. Who could forget? But more importantly, he's a fully funded driver with support from Alloy Employer Services. If you Google this company, you get more pictures of Josh Williams' race car than their actual business, so clearly a lot of money goes into this deal. Look, I'm not trying to bash Josh Williams here, he's far from the most egregious paid driver in NASCAR history. Looking at you, Brandon Jones. But this is a guy with one career ARCA win. Is that really a resume that gets you a ride with Kaulig Racing? And unsurprisingly, he missed the playoffs by a pretty wide margin this year. And honestly, if you're a talented driver at a well-funded team, making the playoffs in Xfinity shouldn't be that hard. Outside of JRM, RCR, and Joe Gibbs, there are not many teams that build cars to the same level as Kaulig. There are realistically 13 good race cars in this series, and then Parker Kligerman and Ryan Sieg, who are just built differently. There is no excuse to be 17th in points in a Kaulig car with one stage point this entire season. One! Dale Earnhardt Jr. has 2, and he only drove one race with no radio for half of it. But yeah, that rant aside, between Josh Williams in Xfinity and Daniel Hemrick, who is mostly supported by Circle and Poppy Bank, it's clear that Kaulig Racing is hiring drivers with more money than talent. The only exception is SVG, whose entire ride is being paid for by Trackhouse. He's just at Kaulig because Trackhouse doesn't have an Xfinity program. The reason for this may be a larger issue at Matt Kaulig's main business, Leaf Filter, who used to fully sponsor the 31 car in the Cup Series, and usually most of the Xfinity drivers. This year, though, they've only been on the Cup cars a combined 3 times. I don't know if this just wasn't economical for them to sponsor so many races anymore, or if the company itself has had financial trouble over the last few years, but it seems pretty clear that Kaulig is no longer a self-funded operation. They are much more reliant on drivers bringing their own sponsorship than they were just a few years ago. Matt Kaulig, are you okay, bro? Are you not stacking paper anymore? Do you want to talk about it? And I would say that this narrative has only gotten stronger with them replacing Daniel Hemrick with Ty Dillon in 2025. Look, I like Ty Dillon. He's not obnoxious like his brother, but hasn't it been proven time and time again that this is not the guy who will grow your race team? In trucks this year, he was a huge step down from Matt DiBenedetto, and while at Richard Petty, he was dead last in points. I know Daniel Hemrick isn't the greatest driver in the world and has spent the entire season hovering around 30th in points, but he's better than Ty Dillon. The only explanation is sponsorship, plain and simple. Well, that and the team's alliance with Richard Childress Racing, which may also explain why Kaulig has lost speed in both Cup and Xfinity this year. While their driver talent certainly took a hit this year, it doesn't explain why AJ Allmendinger is running so much worse than he has in years past. 0 wins in both Xfinity and Cup, just barely clinging to the playoff picture right now. At 42 years old, AJ should still be near his peak. But RCR, who is likely providing Kaulig with most of its intel and equipment, has also substantially fallen off this year. Honestly, all of Chevrolet has fallen off, aside from JRM and Hendrick. SVG is pretty much the only guy that has performed in Kaulig equipment both in Cup and Xfinity, but maybe he's just that good. Actually, he's definitely just that good. But maybe there is some hope for the future. They made the right move bringing AJ Allmendinger back full-time in Cup in 2025. This might be the last good year that AJ has in him, so they may as well get the most of it. And while they did hire Ty Dillon for the other Cup Series ride, at least they seem to finally be cultivating some decent talent in Xfinity again, with Christian Eckes taking over the 16 car. Daniel Dye, I'm a little more unsure about, but he has had some good runs recently in the trucks, so I guess we'll wait and see. Kaulig has lost a ton of good talent over the years, but I still believe that this team has a high ceiling. There's clearly some financial stuff that still needs to be ironed out, and they need a good driver that they can commit to for longer than 1 to 2 years. Maybe they just overexpanded too quickly. Maybe the fix to their problems is as simple as selling a charter. Who knows? But I have faith in this organization. I think they're here for the long haul. It may take a while to get back to where they were in 2021, but let's hope that the team gets back to trophy hunting and not sponsor hunting. So what about you? What do you think about Kaulig Racing? Let me know in the comments down below. But don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more videos just like this one, and check out dailydownforce.com for more awesome NASCAR content.